So this is bizarre. 17th of July 2010. Back at Courtmoor School. 50th anniversary. Not my 50th anniversary being here, you understand. But there is where I used to spend most of my lunch breaks. Tupperware sandwich box sitting on coats. Keeping out of the way of the people that used to give jip. That's where the drama studio was. One of the few places I was happy here. There used to be trees there, they've all been knocked down. There's the dell that was out of bounds. It was always a bit scrappy, but it's certainly been filled in more with weeds and nettles and brambles than it was in my day. And that's where I used to spend most of my lunch breaks sitting. This was the Rosler block. It's where I spent my 4th and 5th years here. Entrance, form rooms through there. It's from the old Rosler block. Going up to where the drama studio was. Yep, it seems about a third smaller than it seemed at the time. I used to have my typing lessons in there. Home ec was done in there. Dreadful lessons. That was Mr. Heath's office, I think, from what I remember. And this, it's locked now, but there we are. That's the drama studio, and that was Mr. Stevens' office, who was the drama teacher when I was here. Spent many a happy time in there. Relatively. That's the old form room when I was in 4AC. Some kids hiding in there at the moment. This has changed. That wasn't there, that's all been put in. Toilets were there. That was just some kind of empty room at the time where we used to hide out when we didn't want to go to assembly. And this was my form room afterwards. Oh my god, it's been split into 2 rooms now. That's why. This was one huge room. Very airy and spacey. And that's all changed. There's now that central wall in there. Blimey, that's a bit of a... Can I say mindfuck? Yeah, I'm going to. So there we are. I used to sit about where that is in the middle of the wall. That's my position in the form. With Alan Calcott, who's been dead for some years. That was the teacher, not another student. There's the bike. That's from the time I was here, just over there. Someone had put in graffiti skull and crossbones and the words Courtmoor Prison. And now indeed it is, it's all barred off. This is where I spent the first 3 years at Courtmoor. Here's the library where I spent many a school lunchtime avoiding bullies.
Where were you? What sort of...
I wouldn't recognise, I didn't put your name to...
Yeah, does your folks still this
Still L1.
Yeah.
This is my form room for the first 3 years I was here. Now, the board used to be there, a whiteboard, they've gone and moved it down the side now. I used to sit, for the first 2 years I was there, I sat there, and then I moved to the back of the class, and I think I was sitting about there, somewhere. And there was anti-me graffiti was drawn on one of these shells. I don't know, you think all these years later, will it still be here? So let's have a look, because I don't think these shelves have changed. So here's the old sports hall. Well, you can't get the smell here, but that's where I took some of my O-levels. It's bigger than I remember it being. And then of course this wasn't here at the time, going into the main house. This is in the main block, where you used to go up for computing studies classes. That's the staff room used to be through there. It now says in use or vacant. I don't know what's going on there. I've not been up here for a quarter of a century. And it's not changed. This is where I took my computing studies classes. These walls were filled with Commodore pets. They were huge, great things. It was a green text on a black screen, and everything was downloaded by a tape recorder. And I'm sure I had some history classes in here as well. And then you went down, it was geography and other classes. Never had any classes through these ones. But at the end is where I had my maths classes, just at the end of this block. This is the first floor. I presume there's any modern day students at Courtmore watching this, they'll wonder why the hell this is of any interest whatsoever. But I've not been here for most of my life, so why not? I had some maths classes in here when I got dropped down a group and I became crap at maths, but when I was good at maths, I had them in here. Sorry, ladies. And I used to sit somewhere around there, I think it was. So this was Mr. Davidson's art room. He had a pug mill over there for clay and stuff, and his potter's wheel as well. This is now the staff room. The room is otherwise pretty much unchanged, and of course looking out onto the fish pond, which is amazingly still there and looking nicer than it looked in our day. Curious thing about the fish pond is that there was all these myths about the place that when you're in the first year you get chucked in there by the fifth formers. Really set you up for 5 years of wonderfulness. This is where we did metal work with the horrendous Mr. Pinsent, who was the archetype of the worst type of teacher you could ever imagine. He was a monster. And the smell is still the same, that kind of plasticky yet sawdusty smell, it's still in here. I did not have happy times in this room. And then next door, we did woodwork with Mr. Raum, which was marginally better, but not a great deal. Who knows, maybe some of the stuff is still the same stuff we had at the time. Upstairs in the science block, as was. This is where we had our classes with Mrs. Neal. Look, they still got the Bunsen burner gas taps here. And then the school technician used to have her office through there, which I presume I can walk through. And on the other side was the horror of Mrs. Mackay's classroom. Now this is completely unrecognisable. This has totally changed. I remember nothing. This is completely different. This was a dark room at the time. My desk was about here. I don't think these are the same sort of desks at all. I think we had desks going straight the way across the room. Mrs. Mackay, I don't know if the door used to be in a different place, even. Mrs. Mackay used to be up, she was up at the top there on a high raised dais with a blackboard behind her, and there were sinks down on that side. And the amount of detentions I had in this room in the years I was here. Funny enough, I ran into her years later, and she was half the size she was. She had not a clue who I was. So there is some poetic justice after all. God knows how long that rock's been there. Certainly in my time. This is walking up past the side of the woodwork room towards where we did some of the art and history and geography. And in 1983, when the election was taking place, that room up there, the windows were open and the kids were doing scores all day of how the election was going and what the swingometer was like. It was quite exciting. So through to the art block. Didn't have many lessons around here. Maggie Smith, who was an art teacher here, I'm not sure which room it was. It was that one or that one. I think it was that one. That was Maggie Smith's room. Or that was Maggie Smith's room. Not completely sure. This has changed a bit. There were pegs and things for hanging your coats on around there. There's another music room through here. There's a little room round the side that used to be here. Yep, still there. This is where I had my piano lessons. I bet it's locked now. Yeah, it's locked. When I was a kid, I had piano lessons in there and I was crap. And this was also one of the music rooms, and it's not anymore. It's become a computing room. I got my fingers shut on a desk here by accident by someone, which really hurt when I was 11 years old. Upstairs in the same block now. This is where we had our history classes with Mr. Roberts. This room set me on the path to where most of my career ended up going, if you exclude the drama business. I used to sit up there, and I used to sit down the back somewhere. And then through here, this room is where we had geography with Mr. Coleman. I had pleasant times there, which I'm not going to tell you about. And for some reason, I can't remember what it was, we had some lessons in here. And I remember we watched a film of Ken Russell's version of The Planets, House Planets in here. Don't know why. And I'm not going to film this room because I remember nothing about it. I'm now in the music block. This is a tiny practice room at the side. There used to be a piano along there. I'm sure I used to make a racket in here during break times. And then through to the music room itself. But first, this is the room where we had our sex ed classes. And I remember by the time we were taught stuff, we pretty much knew everything they were telling us anyway. Right in the distance down there in the car park, there used to be terrapin blocks down there, which they pulled down many years ago. Actually, I was wrong about that practice room. This was the practice room. Excuse the, I'm not talking to the camera. So this was the practice room. There was a piano in that corner there, and that's where I made a racket, not the place down there, which clearly never existed when I was here. And here's the music room. First off, Mr. Oliver, and then Miss Dickinson, and then Mr. Pritchard. This room is where I was introduced to the miracle of musique concrète and the avant-garde. And also in this room, I'm not sure where, it was either there or over there, I think it was there actually. That is where I got electrocuted for the first time in my life. I was here during a lunchtime and I pulled a plug socket out the wall, and the two parts of the plug came apart and my finger went down and hit the fuse. And that was quite a strange experience. See, the music room now is a bit better than it was. This is in this room, sitting down in that corner there. I actually composed and recorded a song which Mr. Oliver, who was the music teacher at the time, recorded for us. And we sent it to a competition at Pebble Mill and became highly commended. And now my music's just shit.